Hello, everyone, and welcome to Melvin. We are a strange and unexplained podcast, also known as just regular videos, because we still need to get ourselves to upload onto podcast stuff, but that's okay.
We're working on it.
We're gonna get there.
I was way
Oh,
too
you
close.
were real close to that mic. You're like, hello, my name is Tori. Which is funny because Tori's actually the one that's going to be telling us something today. I'm Nicole, so I'm just here for the ride because I don't know what she's talking about. Basically, she told me
It's very vague.
She was extremely vague. She was like, so I have a small topic where there were witnesses, so something happened that people saw or heard, and there's not a lot of facts about it. I'm like, okay. So definitely going on the unexplained and mysterious side today.
It was hard to find because the topic that it is, you may have heard of it, maybe not. I don't know. It's angel hair from the sky.
I have not heard of this one.
And so, of course, whenever I type in angel hair, it goes like pasta. I'm like, no, I'm not looking for an Italian dish. I'm looking for a phenomena. And even when I put down phenomena, nothing. It's still pasta. Like, I don't need the pasta.
The angel hair is the way to cover up the angel hair.
Like, what is this? It's possible. So it's like reported to be in like 5 different countries at one point, and never like the same year, but it happens. Now, some of them are terrifying and were explained, like the one in Australia is it's spider webs. So there is a type of spider that migrates like in the air and like groups together in a large bunch of some and just flies, and just so whenever they fall down, it's like the spider webs that come down. Creepy.
See,
I
hate spider webs more than I hate actual spiders. If I'm being honest, and I don't know why. Like, people in Australia, are you okay?
There's some terrifying things.
Like, it feels like you got America's possums and we got your possum, because Australian possums are super cute and beady-eyed, and I still love American possums, but they are a white rat with a big fat tail. You haven't seen an Australian possum? They're so cute.
Pause for 1 second. I must see this.
But yeah, it's like, if you haven't seen like kangaroos, they're scary. Like, Australian people, I feel bad for y'all. You'll have like every animal trying to come after you.
So cute. It's like a little baby kangaroo.
Yeah. That's why I'm laughing. So I'm like, I feel like we accidentally like switched possums at some point. Like, God was just like, hey,
look, I'm
gonna give America this possum instead.
But yeah, no, our possums are definitely could beat up those possums. Every other animal, no.
Yeah, our possums look like they've been on many drugs.
Our poor possums. I think they're adorable. Their
They're
babies are adorable.
Cute. I love that they look like they have fingerless gloves on them.
Right.
But of course,
anyway,
spider webs are happening in Australia.
Yeah. So it's like, that's to be expected.
Yeah, that's not the most like out of the loop thing that I've heard, because Australia has many weird things.
Yeah, and apparently that also happens in a couple other countries, and that's what this whole like angel hair phenomena was when they studied it. It was just spider webs. But the thing that I'm thinking of happened apparently in France in 1952, and then happened in Portugal in I want to say 70 something. I can't quite remember the year.
It's like gaps. It's not like, oh, the thing that was seen in one country maybe accidentally like drifted or something through the air into another country.
This stuff, most reportedly in Portugal, is that what happened is you have several witnesses saying that they saw like these 2 translucent circles in the sky, and then they would travel almost, but like they would separate from each other and then come back, and it was very bizarre. And then moments later, this long pieces, like almost like my hair, and you just scattered it, was like floating down, and they were almost like glittery. They looked like jelly strands almost. Like, how it's described is strange, just that they're thin strands that are translucent and they glitter. and then they fall to the ground, and they'll stay there for a little while, but then they'll evaporate like moments later. And if you touch it, it just immediately gone. And doesn't feel sticky. It just looks like it would be sticky, but it's not. It's like you see it, but it's not there.
It's like everyone's massively hallucinating.
Yes, except somebody was able to get a sample of this.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if he was a professor or just a scientist. But
Of course, a scientist managed to do it.
Yeah, he got a sample. He's like, I got this. I'm going to observe it. And he was able to put it under a microscope. And he noticed that it reacts to UV light and that it was a living thing. And that it had like little tentacles that came out of itself that would move. And he had this research at the University of Lipson. I think that's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was like an actual thing, and they just didn't know exactly what it was. They had like a set of what it was made of,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately don't know. And then a few years later, it kind of disappeared. Like they don't know where the sample went because somebody wanted to observe it in a different place, and then like, oh, let me go get it for you, and then just they weren't able to because it wasn't there anymore.
So either someone janked the sample and was like, I'm taking this with me, this is really cool, or it just disappeared like the hair that had fallen from the sky previously.
Possibly, yeah.
Huh. It's really weird.
But the reasons for it, like what this stuff could be, is kind of, a couple of them are out there and others are like, okay. One of them is like connected to the Virgin Mary. Like it's her bestowing it upon people. I don't even really understood it. I'm like, what?
Spiritual strands?
Yeah, like it's actual like angel's hair coming down kind of thing. But I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And then the other one in which UFO ologist, I don't know if they have a name or not, if that's it.
People that study spaceships, essentially.
Yeah, they said that that it is a reaction, like to the stuff that they have around the spaceship to our air, reacts to it and creates that stuff, like that glittery stuff. I'm like, that's interesting, making it sound all scientific.
Yeah,
love sci-fi.
I can kind of see that because whenever stuff enters our atmosphere, it normally like burns up. Although normally you see like fire and not glitter.
Not like glittery jelly-looking strands of long hair that apparently moves.
That one I could get. The only reason I'm skeptical about the Mary one is because I don't personally necessarily think that Mary is different from us as humans.
I also say that it's like some type of ectoplasm for some people that are like into ghosts and that sort of phenomena and paranormal.
Okay. Yeah. Although ectoplasm, I don't think humans are supposed to be able to touch it based on the lab sample. But I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm apparently a skeptic, as I'm in denial, as your sister likes to say.
In denial. They're all around you.
All around you. In the walls.
I mean, I believe in the spiritual world. Like, that's all good. But I don't know what this whole glitter air stuff is. But it's happened in several other people. And then usually it's after a sighting, like a UFO sighting. It'll come down, rain down. But then it'll just like immediately evaporate. It doesn't last long. So it's not there long enough to collect like thousands of samples.
See, the thing that comes to my mind is if it's paint flecking off of it or something, like a protective coating that's coming off of it. Because remember, they used to have, like Vanta Black started out as something for aircraft. So maybe it's something similar to Vanta Black. Because they are talking about trying to invent cloaking technology to where you can cloak your spaceships. So maybe they're testing that.
Maybe there is a conspiracy. I almost forgot about it being a type of gas experiment.
Gas.
Yeah, and like almost like to cause something. I don't know. There's that, but that is government based. It could be. I wouldn't be surprised. And then the sample mysteriously goes away, if it was even there. I'm kidding.
That would make sense with a theory, though, is that the scientists had grabbed a hold of it, and then some, like, upper scientists that obviously had more clearance were kind of like, nope, I'm taking that back. I need that.
Yeah. You just disguise somebody and say, all right, grab it back for me. But that's pretty much all that there is. There's nothing else on it. I just found it fascinating that it's a legitimate thing. There are several different witnesses, like thousands of them, that this happened.
That is fascinating.
So it's like...
I'm not the biggest skeptic when it comes to, well, what I mean is I'm not like a UFOs are among us and it's aliens and blah, 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 blah. If I'm being honest, if there were aliens, like in my perspective, if they were aliens that could, like, space travel, they wouldn't be interested in our planet because, A, we are self-destructive. We tend to create things that we really shouldn't.
It makes me think of Stargate and the One Race.
Yes.
They're like, no.
But I don't think they'd be interested in us. We don't really have any resources that they would really want because we've already kind of over-depleted and, like, started taking too much of it.
Yeah, but what if we're the guinea pigs?
I don't feel like we're, like, evolutionary, any, like, fantastic.
Like, they use this almost like we use rats? You know, like, we're close enough.
I guess I could see that. I just don't personally see how an alien would be like, oh my gosh, get the pink monkey thing.
Pink monkey thing.
I feel like we put up too much of a fight. Like, mice are easy to kind of, like, control and, like, be able to do experiments on because they don't have as much, like, they don't have, like, the way to, like, fight back. I feel like we're a lot more mobile, be able to put up more of a fight.
So they gotta go when we're sleeping.
Oh, I see. And then they just keep us asleep. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
There's this one alien abduction that happened that I read it. I've watched a documentary on it, and I'm like, I think that might have happened. For this one guy. Like, I'm not really into the whole UFO and alien things. I not necessarily think that there are aliens. My mom surprisingly does.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
She's like, I don't see why that's not possible. There's a whole space out there. Why? You go, Mom. You go. But
I just personally think it's military aircraft because they're not going to tell us what they're experimenting. They're not going to tell us about the really dumb-looking, you know, concept spaceship thing that they're trying to fly around. Like, you've seen concept cars at the Texas State Fair, right? How goofy some of them look.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, this is what we're driving in 30 years. Like, if I'm driving that, then someone has possessed me because that is the ugliest thing I have ever seen.
Right. Well, military, that made me think of the other UFO thing. Now this is just about UFOs.
Yes, it's now about UFOs. You're welcome.
I don't know if I told you about this guy. So this guy, he's ex-military. He was out, I think it was Lake Michigan, is it? Like that big lake that's connected to other little lakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was around that area where it's like a natural preserve, so there's really not a lot of buildings around it whatsoever, a lot of hiking trails. And he went over there so he could draw. This is back in like the 50s, 60s. And he's doing his thing. That's what he's doing. He's going for rocks. I think he likes to look for certain types of like rocks and materials. That's what he was doing out there. And he noticed up high that there was this aircraft that was just going, but was like really quick. And in his mind, he's like, oh, they must be testing out like new equipment or something military wise. And one of them starts hovering and then like kind of close by to him. And I mean like really close by, like you can hear all the things and like feel some of the heat off of it. And it comes down and he's thinking, oh, there must be some like mechanic problems out. It's like, well, I used to work on those type of aircrafts, maybe I can help. So he's like, all right, I'll go up there to help. Like, that's all that he was thinking. He was thinking it's military base, nothing else to it. And the thing drops down like a little like ramp. And so he's thinking, oh, they know that I'm here. they must need help. So he calls up in it and he's like, hey, are you guys okay? Do you need any help? Tells them that he used to work as a mechanic within the military. Like, he's happy to help out. And he just hears like this muttering. He can't quite make out the noise. And then he's thinking to himself, well, maybe this isn't an American aircraft. Maybe this is a different country. And he
Right.
knows like 4 other languages. So he starts speaking in those. And he gets like the same type of response. So he's like, okay, they must just not know who, like, I don't know. He's just like confused. And he's like, well, maybe I could still help in some way. And then it starts to close. He's like, okay. And he describes it as being like this very clear, like almost like it wasn't, he draws it out. Like there's a drawing of him doing this, and it turns itself around until like there's this grid with dots in it that faces him, that's just kind of melded into it. And he's looking at it, he hears like a rumble and then feels a push right onto his chest, and he's knocked back, and there's just this burning all around him. So he goes to the hospital, amazingly enough, because he says it's like it hurts bad. And there's a picture of him with dots on his chest.
Wow.
And they noted that it was radiation. And that, but that they're like, where'd you get this? Like, what is this? And he drew it out. He's like, that's what it is. And he was happy to tell not really happy. He was like, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you about it. And because he's like, I'm not lying. Like, this is what happened.
Right.
And it came to the point that where newspaper people would keep coming, and then people were also like, you're such a liar. You're just trying to get attention. He's like, I don't want this anymore. And to where the fact that he wrote out his story, put it made himself like another little like newspaper, set it outside and said, whoever wants to read it, you can read it. I'm done answering questions. I don't want to be part of the media. There's your info. Leave me alone.
He's like, I didn't ask for this alien craft or this experimental aircraft or whatever to get near me. I was just existing, and I tried to help, and then it burned me, and then I had to tell people why I was burned, and then now I'm being called crazy.
Yep. He's like, I did this because it happened. It's like, I wasn't looking for it. I just wanted to enjoy my hobby.
Man, so the circles for the angel hair thing, were they described as like rings, or was it just circular aircraft?
Like rings almost, or ovals even.
So like were they like hollow in the center?
Like almost like a reflection area. So I can understand like the whole cloaking. If you were to say that, like it was an aircraft attempting to be cloaked. I could see that.
Because that's just funny to me, because one of the types of angels described in the Bible is just described as like thousands of rings like intertwined with thousands of eyeballs on them and like hundreds of pairs of wings.
Man, I really need to look up what angels look like described in the Bible. Need to do that.
Well,
crazy.
I've done some research on like the history of like why we interpret angels as like cute and like human and like just kind of normal looking compared to how they're described in the Bible, because there are ones that are just like basically humans with wings that are in the Bible, but most of them are definitely not. They have like lion heads and then flaming swords and eyeballs and thousands of wings.
3 heads that are 3 different animals.
Yeah, but that's definitely going to be a topic that we cover in the future. But I was just wondering, I was like, is that part of where the angel hair came, like the term came from, maybe?
I think it's just because they were long strands, so it was very hair-like to look at, and they're falling from the sky. I think that's probably where it originated from. Also, is Portugal primarily Catholic? Like Catholicism is really big there?
Portugal, I'm not sure, honestly.
I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea. I don't know much about Portugal.
I don't either. I don't know much about my own country, much less another.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. That probably would tie into the you know, Mary
Yeah.
strands thing then with that.
Yeah. Whole Virgin Mary thing.
Hmm.
It was weird, though.
It is weird. It's
That's
definitely
it.
weird.
Aliens. UFOs.
Aliens.
I think that's the only other UFO story that I knew of.
It's the only one that I know is one that I don't know the actual story. I just know that my dad's told me that apparently my uncle claims that he had an alien encounter at one point.
Oh, yeah, your Uncle Rudy.
Yeah. My Uncle Rudy's great.
I haven't met him yet.
He's amazing. He's the same uncle that has, I don't know if he has it anymore, but he had a raccoon that broke into his house because he was feeding it, and that was basically his pet raccoon. There's a picture on his Facebook of a raccoon sitting out of his window, and he's just like,
yeah, didn't your dad like tell him, like, you're never gonna get rid of that raccoon? And he was just like, yeah, okay.
yeah, pretty much. Uncle Rudy's
like, that's
awesome.
fine.
Rudy is hilarious. I love my Uncle Rudy.
See if he comes and tells his alien story.
Yes, that would be hilarious.
Maybe one
Like,
day.
Uncle Rudy, get on Zoom. We want to interview you.
Yeah.
Tell us some of your stories. You have so many that I've only heard from my dad.
It's like, tell us all of the stories. Let's hear it from your perspective. I bet they're hilarious.
So what theory do you
don't
think
know.
it is for the angel hair?
I don't know. I think it's more military, just because it just seems more practical.
I think it's military cloaking.
And governments tend to keep everything closed until it's perfected and they're able to use it, because not necessarily like to keep it from the people. I think that's part of it sometimes, but also just because you want to keep it from other countries from knowing.
Right. It's
'Cause
like, because
then-
it's like, we got, stronger weapons like nuclear bombs, and suddenly other countries had them because they were able to get it from us because they knew that we had it.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's like, I understand why it's pretty hush-hush when you're trying to deal with all that stuff. Because you want an advantage. I get it. It sucks that that's a thing that
we have to
we
worry
have to
about,
do, yeah.
but that's
that all the countries kind of do, but I mean, I understand strategically. But that's probably what it
Strategically.
most likely is. No, but I mean, I think UFOs are possible. They're just unidentified flying objects, which apparently got renamed as something
really
else. It's no longer UFO, it's something else. I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm gonna keep saying UFO.
I
That
will
just makes
always say
sense to me
UFO.
because flat out, like, you don't know what
like
it
Pluto
is.
not being a planet.
So,
Rude.
I know that Pluto is smaller than some of like Jupiter's moons apparently, but it's a planet because in spirit it's a planet. I don't
know, it's
care
like,
how
it's a
big
planet
it
to
is.
me.
If-
It will always be a planet.
Even though I think
It's a dwarf planet. That's
yeah,
what
it's
they
a
say.
it's
Yeah.
a dwarf planet, and then some people are claiming it's a moon because
Of what?
apparently it very slowly rotates. So you know how they have those random planets like that are slightly outside of our solar system that are like XAE. Blah, blah,
Oh,
blah,
Planet
blah.
X.
Yeah, whatever it is. Apparently,
that
it
is, yeah.
it slightly goes that way, so they think that it's might be a moon.
But doesn't
that
it every
planet.
now and again go in between, what is it, Neptune and Uranus?
I don't know. I've never
Doesn't
heard
it?
that one.
Doesn't it every now and again go in between those two and then starts to go around again?
I don't know that actually.
Oh,
I-
I could be terribly wrong. I feel like I heard that somewhere.
It would make sense because I think that based on what I've heard about the rotation, it should be considered a planet.
Yeah.
Like, because that's people think that when
I don't know, I'm
everything's
not an
orbit that
astrologist.
it's a perfect circle. It's not. Usually, it's like an oval shape.
Yeah. I don't know. Everything changes. Hate
Everything
change. This is why
changes.
old people are grumpy.
Oh my god.
Because everything's changed.
Everything changes. Pluto is not a planet anymore.
UFO is something else.
UFO is something else.
I think it's like
Military's
80
making cloaking
something.
technology probably, and we don't know.
Yeah,
If you
like-
think it's cloaking technology, or if you have any more insight onto what you think it might be, let us know in the comments, because My best guess is military cloaking technology.
Oh, and let us know if you have any other, like, there's any, like, big UFO sightings that seems very, like, evident or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I love to know about it.
Right, we'll look into it, we'll tell it, we'll even, like, if you tell us one that we had never heard of before, we'll mention you in here and be like, blah, 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 on YouTube said this. And so we went and looked it up because I just think that'd be really cool.
It would be really fun. You know, sometimes you see different things than I would. Like, I don't see everything that she does. I'm like, how did you even find that?
How did you find that people were eating mummies? Well, you see.
Precisely. But anyway.
Yeah. But if you enjoyed this, please give us a like. Please subscribe. If you're listening to it in the future when we finally put stuff on podcast things, review us on there. Any feedback is appreciated. If we're not your cup of tea, we're not going to be offended. It's okay. I'll be a little sad because I really want to like entertain people, but that's okay. But thank you so much for watching. We hope to catch you next time. Bye-bye.